I always liked coming home early for Thanksgiving. There was something satisfying about catching the house in that still moment before the celebration exploded, before the oven fogged up the windows and Ruby yelled across rooms, spoon in hand, demanding to know where the nutmeg had vanished to. I expected cinnamon candles, soft music, maybe her mom in the kitchen trying to wrestle control of the menu. That was our rhythm. That was the life I thought I was returning to. But when I opened the front door that afternoon, the house was silent. Not the kind of silence where something simmers in the background. This was bone-deep quiet. No smells, no clattering pans, just air, cold and flat. I remember saying her name once, just to hear it echo. Ruby. My voice bounced off the walls. No answer. The TV was off. No car in the driveway. The bags of groceries I'd dropped off that morning, eggs, pies, greens, still sat untouched, by the fridge. I walked down the hall, assuming maybe she'd run out for something quick. Then I saw him. August Maddox, her stepfather, sitting in the corner of the living room in that old creaking rocking chair I didn't even know we still owned. He looked like someone had dropped him there and forgotten, wrapped in 2 wool blankets, staring at nothing. When I pushed the door open the rest of the way, I froze. "August?" I asked cautiously. He didn't answer at first, just slowly raised one hand and pointed toward the kitchen counter. That was it. No words, no drama. Just a slow, deliberate point, so I went to the kitchen. Beneath a ceramic pumpkin napkin holder was a folded sheet of lined paper, one of those grocery list pages Ruby kept by the fridge. I unfolded it. "Gone on a cruise with my ex-boyfriend. You'll stay and take care of August. He needs you. No love." No explanation. No signature. Just that. I reread it, trying to connect it to reality. Was this a joke? Some twisted kind of test? I looked back at August. He hadn't moved. Not even blinked. "You serious?" I asked him. He let out a long, dry sigh. "Shall we begin?" That was all he said. His voice was cracked, low but clear. My mouth went dry. I stared at him, like he'd grown antlers. She left. She actually left, for Thanksgiving. With her ex. Not even the decency of a text, just a note, a scribbled command like I was some kind of help. And August, this man I'd barely spoken to in years. I was supposed to take care of him? I picked up my phone, hands trembling just enough to make me curse. No missed calls, no messages, just silence. I walked into the living room and sat on the edge of the couch across from August. "You know where they went?" I asked, not sure. Why I expected him to know. "Cruise," he muttered. "Cancun, maybe. Bahamas. Someplace people who feel young again go to act stupid." He closed his eyes. The house suddenly felt alien. My house. My name on the deed. I paid the mortgage, the renovations, the last batch of furniture Ruby had to have. But at that moment, it felt like I was intruding. "You hungry?" I asked, just to break the air. "Always," he said without opening his eyes. "But don't expect me to thank you for a sandwich." Fair enough. I opened the fridge and nearly cursed again, almost empty. A few eggs, half a cucumber, pickle juice, no roast, no stuffing. No sign Ruby had even planned to cook Thanksgiving dinner. "Did they leave like this?" I asked. "No food, no prep?" "Your guess is as good as mine," August said. "I've been here since Tuesday, been eating dry cereal and tuna." He wasn't joking, so I microwaved soup from the pantry, tomato, with 2 pieces of dry toast. Not a feast, but he ate quietly, slow and steady, like every movement took effort. We didn't speak for a while, just the sound of his spoon scraping the bowl and the wind tapping the windows. When I stood to clean up, I finally asked the question, lodged in my throat. "Did she plan this?" He chuckled, a hollow, bitter sound that made my neck prickle. "Oh, son. Ruby doesn't plan anything unless it benefits her." I turned. You're saying she meant to leave me here? He nodded slowly. Figured you'd come home early. She knows how much holidays matter to you. Left that note right where you'd see it. Right next to the damn fridge. Something inside me cracked. Years of marriage, a home built together, late nights, bills, split dreams, and this was how it all fell apart. A note and a shrug from a man I barely knew. I looked down at the slip of paper again. My name wasn't even on it. I walked to the trash can, paused, then placed it back on the counter. Not to remember it. I wanted her to see it when she got home. I wanted her to feel what it looked like. Abandonment in her own handwriting. August groaned slightly, shifting in his chair. You staying the night? I didn't know how to answer. I should have left, driven off, never looked back. But something in me couldn't walk away. Pride, maybe. Anger. Or maybe just the stubbornness of a man who refused to be thrown away like junk mail. Yeah, I said finally. I'm staying. He nodded. Then tomorrow we talk. About what? About how you and I make sure they regret every minute of that cruise. And for the first time that horrible day, I smiled, not because I was okay, but because something inside me was waking up. Voice and tone. The prose is grounded, intimate, and compelling. It doesn't try to be flashy, and that's exactly what makes it so effective. You feel the fatigue, the anger, the quiet resolve. Characterization. August is rendered with dignity and layered humanity. Grant's transformation from helper to protector is beautifully paced and believable. Pacing and structure. The slow build-up and the 4-day countdown create a natural tension. You're essentially constructing a thriller out of grief and betrayal. And it works. Symbolism. The props, the framed still, the birthday card checklist, all of it turns the house into a courtroom of truth. Powerful imagery without being overdone. What could be refined clarity through format? Right now, the text is delivered as one long, unbroken block, making it visually hard to follow. A clear formatting pass with paragraphs, breaks for dialogue, and time markers would vastly improve readability without changing a word. Character backstory breathers. There's room to enrich Grant's own backstory. We know his present loyalty, but a quick nod to his past, a moment of betrayal perhaps, could deepen why he's the one doing this. Motive sharpening for Ruby. We understand Ruby's cruelty, but we don't quite feel what drives her. One sharp line or flashback moment showing how she justifies it to herself, even falsely, would round her out. A climactic cliff. The final line, whatever, rewrite, suggests we're at the end of a chapter or the edge of something big. It's haunting. You might consider a cleaner closing sentence or cliffhanger. Something like, whatever, he whispered. Just make sure it ends better than it began. To land with precision. Want me to help you format or expand this? I can. Break this into structured scenes with timestamps and dialogue formatting. Help you prep it for a screenplay or short story submission. Flesh out any character arc or add a framing device. A monologue of truth and vengeance, executed not in rage, but in methodical legal clarity. A character-driven exposé that reverses the roles. The dying man becomes the judge, and the caretaker, the executor of justice. A stage play or screenplay-ready climax. You have the elements of an emotional courtroom drama without the courtroom. The trial takes place in a living room, through video, memory, and undeniable facts. Themes to highlight, if refining or adapting, gaslighting versus truth. Ruby and her entourage minimized August's suffering. The story dismantles their version. Silent witnesses turned active participants. The neighbors, once passive, now provide the chorus of accountability. Death as resolution. August's passing isn't just an ending, it's a judgment. If you're thinking about expanding this as a novella or novel, use shifting POVs, ATG, from Grant to a neighbor to Ruby reading the will. Add interludes of Ruby's version, not to redeem her, but to contrast their realities. Go back in time occasionally, how August used to be before illness set in. As a screenplay or short film, this would be riveting as a confined space short. One house, one day, one explosive reckoning. The power lies in the juxtaposition of silence and evidence and the weaponization of truth. Think The Father meets A Few Good Men. Editorial feedback, if you're polishing this. Some paragraph breaks would greatly enhance readability, especially during emotional pivots or dialogue shifts. Tighten time indicators, ERGL, by 6:14 p.m. Good for realism, but you don't always need timestamps. Trim slightly redundant phrases, ERGL, he smiled. Weak but real might read tighter as just, he smiled. Weak, but illy. Closing thought. If this is fiction, it feels frighteningly real. If it's true, then it's one of the most powerful personal essays I've ever read. Either way, it deserves to be read slowly and remembered. The dialogue is raw, honest, and grounded in lived experience. You captured a sense of betrayal, grief, and eventual peace in a way that feels real and earned. Character arcs. Grant's evolution from silence to agency and Ruby's disintegration from entitlement to irrelevance feel like natural consequences of their choices, not author-imposed. Punishments. Atmosphere. The house becomes a character in itself, haunted, then reclaimed, then transformed. That metaphorical shift is very effective. Pacing and structure. The continuous thread of time flowing through August's death, the confrontation, the aftermath, and then the rebirth with the songwriting retreat makes this feel complete. Suggestions. Break the text into scenes, paragraphs. This would significantly improve readability. Currently, it's a single stream with minimal breaks, which can be overwhelming. For example, Scene 1, the confrontation over August's urn scene. 2, the aftermath inside the house scene. 3, the retreat and emotional resolution clarify some dialogue tags. Occasionally, it's not immediately clear who is speaking. Example. No service. No goodbye, I said. Then, because he didn't want one. He wanted this. This could use a clearer transition or attribution. Reinforce Grant's internal voice. Earlier, his strength in the final third is powerful. Sprinkling a bit more of that clarity and self-awareness earlier, especially during the confrontation, could heighten the payoff. Final line. I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out my wedding rewrite. That's a stunning final sentence, but consider expanding it just slightly to ground the metaphor. Is it a letter? A vow? A literal rewrite of vows? Let it land with specificity. Optional title ideas, if you're considering this as a standalone, piece, or a novel chapter. August's last word, the house that remained. You don't get to come back. Peace is louder.